Kelly, you brought a friend with you.
I did. Hold on. Let me get her. She's been snoring away over here. Oh, my rescue dog, Giselle. And she's kind of
Hi,
squirrely.
Giselle.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're okay. And you're okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. And so Giselle was with me at my parents' house. Just smile one more time, then you can go back to sleep. Say goodbye. Okay. There you go. So she went with me to my parents' house down at the beach, and she was on the couch. And my sister had made one of those crocheted kind of blankets that you put on a couch that has like the holes in it. You know what I mean? That the grandmas used to crochet. Well, my sister made one for my mom, and they put it on their couch. And Giselle was on their couch, and I said, "Come on, let's go for a walk." And she tried to jump off the couch, and her feet and her toenails got stuck in that blanket, and she went forward, and the blanket stopped her, and she flipped over and fell. I mean, literally right on her back, and her head hit the floor, and her legs were still entwined. It was awful. And she just froze. Her arms were straight out, her legs were straight, everything was straight out, and she didn't move. So I quickly untangled her legs, and she didn't move, and her arms were still straight out, and she looked like a katana. Is that what it is? Yeah. So I held her, and she didn't move, and it was awful. And I gently, put her on her side. She was breathing okay, but she couldn't move at all. I tried gently to, pick her up. Her legs were still straight out, and I was in a panic. And so I held her, and then I moved her just a little bit on her side, and that she stayed pretty much that way all afternoon, didn't get up, didn't move. I was so freaked out. And so we called the local, this was kind of in the middle of the height of the pandemic. And because I was going through chemotherapy treatment, I wanted to make sure wherever I went, I was super careful. So we found a veterinarian down at the beach. But in the meantime, I called Larry and Bill, and they started to kind of work on her. And she didn't move, but she looked a little bit more comfortable. So my son and I gently picked her up, and we put her in the car and took her to the veterinary hospital. And they did x-rays, and they looked, and they found that she had like a compressed disc or something in her neck. And they basically said, yeah, she's never going to walk again. You have a couple of options. You can either put her down, or you can take her to a neurologist, and she's going to have surgery. And that'll cost between $17,000 and $20,000. And even then, there's very little chance she's going to walk. And or you can just take her home and try to care for her, and she's just going to be a paralyzed dog. And I thought, well, yeah, I didn't have $17,000, so I was going to love her through it, right? So I took her home, and that night I got Bill and Larry on the phone again, and they worked with her. And for the next 3 weeks, Larry worked with me pretty much every day with her. And I wish I could show you pictures. I had pictures of my kids gently carrying her outside and holding her so she could go potty. I mean, she couldn't stand. We got her one of those dog wheelchair things. She couldn't use that. She couldn't drink water, so I got one of those syringes, and I would give her syringefuls, like just like a tablespoon of water every 15 or 20 minutes to make sure she was getting water. I would hand feed her. And so about 6 weeks of this, with Larry pretty much working every day, I couldn't believe it, because she started to move her legs a little bit when she was on my bed. And then at one point she started to try to kind of scoot forward. And I thought, holy cow, she's actually trying to move. And then at one point she literally just kind of stood up, and I called Larry. I said, you're not going to believe this. Granted, it was only for a couple of seconds, but she stood up and then plopped right down. And from that point on, at about 7 weeks, she was up, and she would take like a step, and then plop down. But by 8 weeks, she was up walking slowly. We were able to take her outside, and she could walk a couple of steps and go potty on her own. She could kind of eat. And now she is completely a normal dog. She runs. She does everything. She eats and drinks and takes walks. Yeah, in fact, yesterday I laughed because I called Larry while I was on a walk with her. And And he said, how are you? He said, you're kind of out of breath. I said, yeah, because she's pulling me like one of those sled dogs. You know what I mean? She was so excited about going on a walk. She's completely back to normal. And, my vet, of course, couldn't believe it. And he was like, what did you do? And I said, oh, I have a friend. And I told him all about Larry and Bill. And so now I'm going to supply him with Larry's business cards. Because the thing about Larry is that most people don't realize, and Bill, is that they do a lot of their work for people who don't have enough money to pay them. And yeah, so they do a lot of freebie things. So I'm going to make it my mission to try to help bring some business to them, because they've got to live too, And so I'm hoping that I can promote them with this veterinarian and get some dog business their way, or cat or bird. But my
Puppies,
dog is
we
living,
love puppies.
my dog is living proof. I mean, seriously, the vet, and we took her back to my regular vet after the hospital, and he kind of rough and put her on the floor, and she kind of flopped around the floor, and he goes, yeah, no, she's not going to be able to, you might as well put her down. I said, oh yeah, no, and she's totally fine. So it's not just with people, it's with animals too that they help.
But
Yep.
Kelly, you have quite a background in movie TV industry, don't you? And your family.
Yes.
And
Yeah, my grandmother was one of Hollywood's first and largest agents. And so she did a lot of work with Walt Disney. Walt Disney used to cast his own movies. And so my grandmother had clients, and her clients it was like Dennis from Dennis the Menace, the kids from Family Affair, the kids from Make Room for Daddy, Lost in Space, all of the kids in the Charlie Brown cartoons, those voiceover actors, those are my grandmother's clients. Houseboat with Sophia Loren and I think Cary Grant, maybe all of those kids were my Nana's clients. So then my mom was an actress on a television show for 12 years called Our Miss Brooks. It was around about the time I Love Lucy was on with Eve Arden. And so, yeah, so I have performed, and now I've taken a role kind of in the backside of television and film, and I'm in the middle of producing a couple of shows with my brother, and one of them hopefully will be a healing show that we're pitching with Bill and Larry. And there was a show like this on Discovery with a guy from, I think, Australia, but they don't have the personality that Bill and Larry have and that kind of connection. So I know that's true. And that's half the battle, right? Is it the kind of connection that they've got. So we're hoping to pitch and make this show take off, but it's all about, I know they don't like to use the word healing, but essentially in a nutshell, that's what it will be about.
I guess we could adopt a kangaroo also.
There you go.
Llamas.
Exactly. They got the llamas. That's right.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, yeah.
But
no, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I've got Giselle because of you guys.